Chapter 11: Why Truth is Often Rejected First. Truth rarely enters systems gently. It disrupts narratives, challenges identity, and exposes misalignment. It arrives not as affirmation, but as friction. For this reason, truth is often resisted long before it is examined. This resistance is not primarily ideological or emotional. It is structural. Truth is signal, not verdict. Truth is commonly treated as judgment. It is not. Truth is a signal, information indicating the relationship between current configuration and constraint. It does not accuse. It does not prescribe. It reveals. Systems that interpret truth as verdict respond defensively. They prepare arguments rather than adjustments. They protect narrative rather than examine structure. This misinterpretation delays correction. Why early truth feels unreasonable. Early truth rarely appears dramatic. It manifests as discomfort, inconsistency, or minor friction. It lacks urgency. It does not demand immediate action. Because of this subtlety, early truth is easy to dismiss. Systems rationalize it as noise. Individuals attribute it to mood. Organizations frame it as resistance. Institutions treat it as manageable deviation. By the time truth becomes undeniable, its cost has multiplied. Truth threatens identity before structure. Truth challenges identity first. It suggests that the system's self-concept may be incomplete or outdated. It implies that success may have masked misalignment. It questions assumptions that feel foundational. Structural correction can follow. Identity correction feels existential. As a result, systems defend identity even when structure is failing. They preserve narrative continuity while capacity erodes. Truth is rejected not because it is false, but because it destabilizes self-image. The cost of being right. Being right feels stabilizing. It reduces ambiguity. It justifies past decisions. It reinforces confidence. Truth introduces uncertainty. It suggests that something previously accepted may no longer hold. It reopens closed questions. It demands reconsideration. Systems that prioritize being right over being aligned resist truth reflexively. They defend position rather than adjust configuration. Why truth arrives before readiness. Truth does not wait for readiness. It emerges when configuration diverges from constraint, not when systems feel prepared to respond. This timing mismatch creates tension. Systems want truth to arrive after capacity exists to absorb it. Reality does not coordinate delivery. Truth arrives when misalignment begins. Correction becomes harder the longer truth is delayed. Truth and the exposure of responsibility. Truth exposes responsibility. It reveals where decisions were made, where feedback was ignored, where alignment was deferred. It links outcome to configuration. This exposure is uncomfortable. Responsibility demands response. It narrows interpretive freedom. It limits plausible deniability. Systems that avoid responsibility avoid truth. Why truth is labeled disruptive. Truth is often described as disruptive. This description misplaces cause. Truth does not disrupt stable systems. It reveals instability that already exists. The disruption was present before the truth appeared. Truth merely makes it visible. Blaming truth for disruption allows systems to avoid addressing misalignment. Truth versus narrative coherence. Narratives organize experience. They provide continuity, meaning, and direction. Systems rely on narrative to coordinate action at scale. Truth disrupts narrative coherence when reality diverges from story. Systems often choose narrative preservation over truth integration. They adjust interpretation rather than configuration. Narrative survives. Alignment erodes. The social cost of speaking truth. Within systems, truth often carries social cost. Those who articulate misalignment risk being labeled negative, disloyal, or obstructive. Their observations are reframed as attitude rather than information. This cost suppresses internal signals. Silence follows not because misalignment is resolved, but because articulation becomes unsafe. The system loses internal visibility. When this is ignored. When truth is consistently rejected, systems become blind to early correction. They encounter reality only at scale, where adjustment is expensive and options are limited. Correction feels external because internal mechanisms were disabled. Truth and timing asymmetry. Truth operates on a different timeline than response. It appears early and quietly. Response often comes late and forcefully. This asymmetry explains why systems experience correction as sudden. They ignored early signals because they lacked urgency. Urgency arrives later without choice. Why comfort wins over accuracy. Comfort preserves stability in the short term. Accuracy threatens it. Systems under pressure prioritize immediate function. They defer uncomfortable information. They filter signals that complicate action. This prioritization is understandable. It is also destabilizing. Comfort delays correction. Accuracy enables it. Truth as load indicator. Truth indicates load imbalance. It shows where capacity is being exceeded, where responsibility is misaligned, where energy is accumulating without absorption. Ignoring truth does not reduce load. It redistributes it elsewhere. Eventually, load manifests as failure. The role of truth and endurance. Enduring systems integrate truth early. They treat discomfort as information. They reward articulation of misalignment. They tolerate temporary instability to prevent catastrophic correction. This tolerance is rare. It requires separating truth from blame. Truth and the fear of collapse. Systems often fear that acknowledging truth will trigger collapse. This fear reverses causality. Collapse occurs because truth is ignored, not because it is acknowledged. Early integration stabilizes. Late recognition destabilizes. Truth does not cause collapse. Delay does. The gradual hardening against truth. Repeated rejection of truth hardens systems. They become less responsive. Signals are dismissed automatically. Alternative interpretations vanish. This hardening is often described as confidence. It is rigidity. Rigid systems break under stress. Truth without authority. Truth does not require authority. It does not depend on position, status, or mandate. It emerges from configuration. Systems that dismiss truth based on source rather than content weaken internal correction. Truth ignored because of its messenger returns through consequence. Why truth is often heard too late. Truth is often heard only after options narrow. By then, it confirms what is already unfolding rather than guiding prevention. It feels accusatory because it arrives alongside consequence. The system regrets timing rather than examining structure. Truth is neutral information. Truth is neutral. It does not assign moral value. It does not demand agreement. It does not advocate outcome. It describes relationship. Systems that moralize truth misinterpret its function. They argue rather than adjust. The silence after rejection. When truth is rejected repeatedly, articulation stops. The system enters a quiet phase. Activity continues. Outputs persist. Internal visibility disappears. This silence is not health. It is blindness. Closing constitutional statement. Truth is rejected first because it arrives early, quietly, and without permission. It threatens identity before structure, comfort before accuracy, and narrative before coherence. Systems do not fail because truth is absent. They fail because truth is unwelcome until it is unavoidable. End of chapter 11.